Good morning. Good morning. I've already talked about some things on Facebook this morning. Oh, yeah, let me share the video. I don't know why I'm not making any money using Facebook. Maybe I'm not interesting. So I was doing my hygiene. I don't have a lot of hair right now, but I was brushing it and doing a little cleaning up here and changing my drawers and putting on clothes I got out of the dryer and deodorant. Well, actually, I did put on deodorant. Someone that I used to work with told me you don't need to wear deodorant when you work at a job like this, and but yeah, so I kind of quit wearing deodorant. But if you do that, all you have to make sure you wash your armpits when you take a shower, because sometimes you'll forget to lift your arms up and get all that skin that's so hairless, and yeah, but you don't have to wear deodorant. Hold on. Let me try something real quick. I can't wait till my new glasses come in. They're actually my old frames, but I've got new lenses. No. Didn't we fight in World War II so that we could not become Nazis? I don't know why following that we went against communism for whatever reason, but we did a good job fighting the Nazis. We killed Hitler, and oh man, if we had let Hitler win, this place would be horrible. A lot of people in schools are still acting like they like Hitler. I got expelled from a university because I wrote a story, and it was about babies eating poop and everything. It was really weird, inappropriate, but they just expelled me. That was from Capella University. I got my master's from Capella, uh, but then I was in the PhD program, and I want to get back in. I want to get back in now. I wonder if they'll let me. Let's call and find out if I can get back in. Let's call and find out.
Thank you for calling Capella University. For quality purposes, your call may be monitored and recorded. If you are a current learner, please have your learner ID ready so we can support you. If you are interested in learning about program offerings, press 1. If you are a learner taking a course or enrolled in a program, press 2. Thank you for calling Capella University's enrollment services. We are currently closed. You can reach us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Central Time.
Gotta wait till 9. Let's move you over here. Here, we'll put this right here. We're about to read Jude the Obscure. I'm still having coffee. I might, well, I'm going to wait to call Capella. Today's the 7th. I get my medicine tomorrow. Get my medicine tomorrow. I told you I wasn't going to start right away. I just came on here to talk a little bit before I started. Need to wash my hands after I smoke one more cigarette. Let's see. Let's see. I don't want to read that introduction. Okay, I am coming. Can't you do something else for 5 minutes? Last night I started to hear voices, and I'm not now. But I was trying to figure out what they all meant and everything. We might as well just wait till 9 o'clock. These are Camel Crush. They're the best cigarettes. Not this specific one, but this is what they had. I hope I don't get taken off Facebook. I'm trying to make some money. Okay. Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to find me on that website, Gay PornTube, I just got on it today. I just got my account. Um, I just got a new account today. It's called Jerking Now. JERKINGNOW. Jerking Now. Let's see how many pages I'm about to read. If all goes well, here it is. That much. From page 131 to 196, 65 pages. So I'm not hearing any voices. Praise the Lord. Won't that make everybody happy? Y'all ought to read my novels. I have 5 books on Amazon right now. The second one's real funny in the beginning. I'm not shaking when I put my hand right here on the desk. Shakes. Okay, we'll get started here right now for 15 minutes. I don't want to waste an entire 15 minutes. Hold on, let me write someone back. Whoops. Okay. How's that? No. That's fine. Okay. See how many pages. I'll start from the first page of part 3. It was a new idea, the ecclesiastical and altruistic life as distinct from the intellectual and emulative life. A man could preach and do good to his fellow creatures without taking double firsts in the schools of Christ's minister or having anything but ordinary knowledge. The old fancy which had led on to the culminating vision of the bishopric had not been an ethical or theological enthusiasm at all, but a mundane ambition masquerading in a surplice. He feared that his whole scheme had degenerated too, even though might not have originated in a social unrest which had no foundation in the nobler instincts, which had no foundation in the nobler instincts, which was purely an artificial product of civilization. There were thousands of young men on the same self-seeking track at the present moment. The sensual hind who ate, drank, and lived carelessly with his wife through the days of his vanity was a more likable being than he. But to enter the church in such an unscholarly way that he could not in any probability rise to a higher grade through all his career than that of a humble curate, wearing his life out in an obscure village or city slum, that might have touched goodness and greatness in it, that might be true religion, and a purgatorial course worthy of being followed by a remorseful man. The favorable light in which this new thought showed itself by contrast with his foregone intentions cheered Jude. As he sat there shabby and lonely and may be said to have given during the next few days the coup de grace to his intellectual career, a career which had extended over the greater part of a dozen years. He did nothing, however, from some long stagnant time to advance his new desire, occupying himself with little local jobs and putting up and lettering headstones about the neighboring villages and submitting to be regarded as a social failure, a return purchase by a half dozen or so farmers and other country people who condescended to nod him. The human interest of the new intention and human interest is indispensable to the most spiritual and self-sacrificing, was created by a letter from Sue, bearing a fresh postmark. She evidently wrote with anxiety and told very little about her own doings, more than that she had passed some sort of examination for a Queen's scholarship and was going to enter a training college at Melchester to complete herself for the vocation she had chosen, partly by his influence. Today's Saturday. Yeah. There was a theological college at Melchester. Melchester was quiet and soothing place, almost entirely ecclesiastical in its tone, a spot where their worldly learning and intellectual smartness had no establishment, where the altruistic feeling that he did possess would perhaps be more highly estimated than a brilliancy which he did not. As it would be necessary that he should continue for a time to work at his trade while reading up divinity, which he had neglected at Christminster for the ordinary classical grind. What better course for him than to get employment at the further city and pursue this plan of reading? that his excessive human interest in the new place was entirely of Sue's making, while at the same time Sue was to be regarded even less than formerly as proper to create it, had ethical contradictoriness to which he was not blind. But that much he conceded to human frailty, and hoped to learn to love her only as a friend and kinswoman. He considered that he might so mark out his coming years as to begin his ministry at the age of 30, an age which much attracted him as being that of his exemplar when he first began to teach in Galilee. This would allow him plenty of time for deliberate study and for acquiring capital by his trade to help his after course of keeping the necessary terms at the theological college. Christmas had come and passed, and Sue had gone to the Melchester Normal School. The time was just the worst in the year for Jude to get into new employment, and he had written suggesting her that he should postpone his arrival for a month or so till the days had lengthened. She had acquiesced so readily that he wished he had not proposed it. She evidently did not much care about him, though she never once reproached him for his strange conduct in coming to her that night and his silent disappearance. Neither had she ever said a word about her relations with Mr. Phillotson. Suddenly, however, a passionate letter arrived from Sue. She was quite lonely and miserable, she told him. She hated the place she was in, and it was worse than the ecclesiastical designers, worse than anywhere. She felt utterly friendless. Could he come immediately? Though when she did come, she would only be able to see him at limited times, and the rules of the establishment she found herself in being strict to a degree. It was Mr. Phillotson who had advised her to come there, and she wished she had never listened to him. Phillotson's suit was not exactly prospering, evidently, and Jude felt unreasonably glad, and he packed up his things and went to Melchester with a lighter heart than he had known for months. This being the turning over a new leaf, he duly looked about for a temperance hotel and found a little establishment of that description in the streets leading from the station. When he had something to eat, he walked out into the dull winter light over the town bridge and turned the corners towards the close. The day was foggy, and standing under the walls of the most graceful architectural pile in England, he paused and looked up. The lofty building was visible as far as the roof ridge above, and the dwindling spire rose more and more remotely, till its apex was quite lost in the mist drifting across it. The lamps now began to be lighted, and turning to the west front, he walked around. He he took it as a good omen that numerous blocks of stone were lying about, which signified that the cathedral was undergoing restoration or repair to a considerable extent. It seemed to him full of the superstitions of his belief that this was an exercise of forethought on the part of a ruling power. Now, I want to know what that means. It seemed to him full of superstition of his beliefs that this was an exercise of forethought on the part of the ruling power, that he might not find plenty to do in the art he practiced while waiting for a call to hire laborers. Then a wave of warmth came over him, and he thought about how near he now stood to the bright-eyed, vivacious girl with the broad forehead and pile of dark hair above it, the girl with the kindling glance daringly soft at times, something like that of the girls he had seen in the engravings from paintings of the Spanish school. She was here, actually, in this close, in one of the houses confronting this very west facade. and he went down the broad gravel path towards the building. It was an ancient edifice of the 15th century, once a palace, now a training school with mullioned and transomed windows. A courtyard in front shut in from the road by a wall. Jude opened his gate and went up to the door through which, on inquiring for his cousin, he was gingerly admitted to a waiting room, and in a few minutes she came. Though she had been here such a short while, she was not as he had seen her last. All her bounding manner was gone. Her curves of motion had been subdued lines. The screens and subtleties of convention had likewise disappeared. Yet neither was she quite the woman who had written the letter that summoned him, that had plainly been dashed off in an impulse which second thoughts had somewhat regretted, thoughts that were possibly of his recent self-disgrace. Jude was quite overcome with emotion. "You don't think me a demoralized wretch for coming to you as I was, and going so shamefully, Sue?" "Oh, I have tried not to. You said enough to let me know what had caused it. I hope I shall never have any doubt of your worthiness, my poor Jude, and I am glad you have come." She wore a merle-colored gown with a little lace collar. It was made quite plain, and hung about her slight figure with clinging gracefulness. Her hair, which formerly she had worn according to the custom of the day, was now twisted up tightly, and she had altogether the air of a woman clipped and pruned by severe discipline, an under brightness shining through from the depth which that discipline had not yet been able to reach. She had come forward prettily, but Jude felt that she had hardly expected him to kiss her, as he was burning to do, under other colors than those of court cousinship. He could not perceive the least sign that Sue regarded him as a lover, or ever would do so. Now that she knew the worst of him, even if he had the right to behave as one, and this helped on his growing resolve to tell her of his matrimonial entanglement, which he had put off doing for some time, to hear sheer dread of losing the bliss of her company. Sue came out into the town with him, and they walked and talked with tongues centered only on the passing moments. Jude said he would like to buy her a little present of some sort, and then she confessed, with something of shame, that she was dreadfully hungry. They were all kept on very short allowances in the college, and dinner, tea, and supper all in one was the present she most desired in the world. Jude thereupon took her to an inn and ordered whatever the house afforded, which was not much. The place, however, gave them a delightful opportunity for a tete-a-tete, nobody else being in the room, and they talked freely. Whoa. That was the most fun of reading so far. Ugh. Wish I could get my camera to work. Okay, it might be fine, but I like it like that. I'm doing a painting for someone. Here it is. Okay. Hey, there we go. That's why I like my camera like that.
University. For quality purposes, your call may be monitored and recorded. If you are a current learner, please have your learner ID ready so we can support you. If you are interested in learning about program offerings, press 1. If you are a learner taking a course or enrolled in a program, press 2. If you are new to Capella University, press 1. If not, press 2. To repeat this, to enter your phone number, press 1. To enter your learner ID, press 2. Starting with the area code, please enter the 10-digit phone number where you can be reached, followed by the pound sign. Sorry, I didn't get that. Please choose from the following options. Starting with the area code, please enter the 10-digit phone number where you can be reached, followed by the pound sign.
What didn't you get? Hello?
To better direct your call, please select from the following menu options. For bachelor's programs, press 1. For master's programs, press 2. For doctorate or PhD programs, press 3. For psychology or counseling, press 1. For social work, press 2. For education, press 3. For business or human resource management, press 4. For nursing, press 5. For healthcare or public health, press 6. For info.
Thank you for calling. You can always text your question to 1-833-941-3022 if opted into texting. If not opted in, text the word START to 79869 to receive instructions on how to opt in.
Please wait.
Capella University, Norman. This is Dylan. How can I help you?
Hey, I was taken out of the program, and this was a couple of years ago, and I made a lot of progress, and I've been to therapy, and I've done all kinds of things, and I was trying to get back into the program. I want to study psychology. I have my master's from Capella in public administration, and I want to study psychology in the doctorate program. I already have 2 or 3 classes under my belt. I can give you my phone number.
Yeah, what's that number?
769-228-3949.
I don't see any info under that number. Do you happen to have another number?
769-428-7515.
428. Say the last one more time.
7515.
Thank you. There we go. And what's your full name, please?
Mark Hammond Baker.
Cool. I think I found you here, Mark. Let's see. Yep, I found you here. Okay, cool. So yeah, on Monday I will have one of our enrollment questions reach out to you, and they can give you a call and just kind of discuss the information regarding re-enrolling back in the program. If there's anything you need to know, you'll be set up there for success on Monday. Is there a time that works best?
Monday is good all day.
Perfect. Awesome. Cool. And I'll have someone reach out to you come Monday and some point of the day. Typically it might be in the morning, but we'll just stay all day.
I get up at 5:30.
Oh, sweet. Perfect. All right. Cool. Then I'll have someone reach out to you around that time, around maybe more 7 a.m., 8 a.m.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Mark, thank you so much for your time, and someone will reach out to you come Monday.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Bible was way more fun to read than Jude the Obscure. Whatever. Yes, I'm still reading Jude the Obscure. I haven't put a lot of time into it. I get so uncomfortable and restless. But today is not like that. We're not having that problem today. So let's just be thankful for that. I've learned I can get more done working in my office. Tomorrow's church, yay. Ugh. Hmm. Not gonna give up. I'm gonna read these 65 pages and then take a nap and then do something else later. Watch a movie or something. I want to give a shout out to Keisha. She's amazing. Keisha would save your life and not let you fall off the face of the earth. Okay. Coffee. I like cold coffee. So, someone asked me what was my favorite food one time. I don't know anymore. I can't think of anything I really love right now. If I had to think, hmm. Oh, I like granola. I like milk and granola. Okay. Though she had been here such a short while, she was not as he had seen her. I already read that. She told him about the school as it was at that date and the rough living and the mixed character of her fellow students gathered together from all parts of the diocese, and how she had to get up and work by gaslight in the early morning with all the bitterness of a young person to whom restraint was new. To all this he listened, but it was not what he wanted especially to know. Her relations with Philistine. That was what she did not tell. When they had sat and eaten, Jude impulsively placed his hand upon hers. She looked up and smiled and took his quite freely into her own little soft one, dividing his fingers and coolly examining them as if they were the fingers of a glove she was purchasing. Your hands are rather rough, Jude, aren't they? She said. Yes, so would yours be if they all held a mallet and a chisel all day. I don't dislike it, you know. I think it's noble to see a man's hands subdued to what he works in. Well, I'm rather glad I came to this training school after all. See how independent I shall be after the 2 years training? I shall pass pretty high, I expect, and Mr. Phillison will use his influence to get me a big school. She had touched the subject at last. I had a suspicion, a fear, said Jude, that he cared about you rather warmly and perhaps wanted to marry you. Now, don't be such a silly boy. He has said something about it, I expect. If he had, what would it matter? An old man like him? Oh, come, Sue. He's not so very old, and I know what I saw him doing. Not kissing me, that I'm certain no, but he put his arm around your waist. Ah, I remember, but I didn't know he was going to. You are wriggling out of it, Sue, and it isn't quite kind. Her ever sensitive lip began to quiver and her eye to blink at something this reproof was deciding her to say. I know you'll be angry if I tell you everything, and that's why I don't want to. Very well, then, dear, he said soothingly. I have no real right to ask you, and I don't wish to know. I shall tell you, she said with the perverseness part of her that was part of her. This is what I've done. I have promised. I have promised that I will marry him when I come out of training school 2 years hence. And I have got my certificate, his plan being that we shall take a large double school in a great town. He, the boys, and I, the girls, and marry school teachers often do and make good income between us. Oh, Sue! But of course it is right. You couldn't have done better. He glanced at her, and their eyes met, the reproach in his own bellying words. Then he drew his hand quite away from hers and turned his face in estrangement from her to the window. Sue regarded him passively without moving. I knew you would be angry, she said with an air of no emotion whatsoever. Very well, I'm wrong, I suppose. I ought not to have let you come to see me. We had better not meet again, and will only correspond at long intervals on purely business matters. This was just one thing he would not be able to bear, and she probably knew, and it brought him around at once. Oh, yes, we will, he said quickly. Your being engaged can make no difference to me whatever. I have a perfect right to see you when I want to, and I shall. Then don't let us talk of it any more. It is quite spoiling our evening together. What does it matter about what is going to do 2 years hence? She was something of a riddle to him, and he let the subject drift away. Shall we go and sit in the cathedral? He asked when their meal was finished. Cathedral, yes. Though I think I'd rather sit in the railway station, she answered, a remnant of vexation still in her voice. That's the center of the town life now. The cathedral has had its day. How modern you are. So would you be if you had lived so much in the Middle Ages as I have done these last few years? The cathedral was a very good place 4 or 5 centuries ago, but it's played out now. I am not modern either. I am more of an ancient than a medievalism, if you only knew. Jude looked distressed. There, I won't say any more of that, she cried. Only you don't know how bad I am. From your point of view, you wouldn't think of much of me or care whether I was engaged or not. Now there's just time for us to walk around the close, and then I must go in, or I shall be locked out for the night. He took her to the gate, and they parted. Jude had a conviction that that his unhappy visit to her on that sad night had precipitated this marriage engagement, and it did anything but add to his happiness. Her reproach had taken that shape then, and not the shape of words. However, next day he set about seeking employment, which it was not easy to get as at Christminster, there being, as a rule, less stone cutting in progress in the quiet city, and hands being mostly permanent, but he engaged himself in by degrees. His first work had some craving at the cemetery on the hill, and ultimately he became engaged on the labor he most desired. The cathedral repairs, which were very extensive, the whole interior fittings have been swept away to be replaced by new. It might be a labor of years till it all gets done, and he had confidence enough in his own skill with the mallet and chisel to feel that it would be a matter of choice with himself how long he would stay. The lodgings he took near the closed gate would not have disgraced a curate, the rent representing a higher percentage on his wages than mechanics of any sort usually care to pay. His combined bed and sitting room was furnished with framed photographs of the rectories and the deaneries at which his landlady had lived and trusted as trusted servant in her time. And the parlor downstairs bore a clock in the mantelpiece inscribed to the effect that it was presented to the same serious-minded woman by her fellow servants on the occasion of her marriage. Jude added to the furniture of his room by unpacking photographs of the ecclesiastical carvings and monuments that he had executed with his own hands. And he was deemed a satisfactory acquisition as tenant of the vacant apartment. He found an ample supply of theological books in the city bookshops, and with these his studies were recommenced in a different spirit and direction from his former course. As a relaxation from the fathers and such stocks work as Paley and Butler, he read Newman, Pusey, and many other modern lights. He heard a harmonium, set up his lodgings. He hired a harmonium, it up in his lodgings, and practiced chants thereon, single and double. Hey, Evan. Let me see what a harmonium is. I think it would be fun to make a harmonium. It looks like this. Uh, I was seeing if my tax refund was going to be here, but I still have to wait. I go to the IRS to go app, and I've had that app on my phone for years. But that's okay. Nothing good ever happens to me. No. Sometimes it does. Sometimes good things happen. Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta go to the bathroom. It might be like 5 minutes. I need to lay down for a second. I'll be right back. It's a baby present. Oh, having. Keys. Can you see? Can't really see. Now. There. Hold on. Oh. All right. Sorry, I'm wasting time. But I did get some granola. What's there to say? Some people, I don't know. I used to think you could make a mess out of your whole life, which we're lucky to live in America where we have laws and things that keep us safe and uh, a military from invaders and everything. But I had an ex-girlfriend one time, and Papa told me, I said, I had brought up Mr. Ritz, and he had it because Mr. Ritz had been the one that expelled me from school. And Papa said, "Oh, don't you worry about Mr. Ritz. I got him good. And what you need to worry about is your ex-girlfriend. She was the one who got you expelled." And he might have been right, but she messaged me. Uh, I don't know where she was thinking about me in the whole timeline. She just said, "Mark, you ruined my whole life." I didn't like those people at Victory Christian. After, I don't know, I made a fool of myself. Still feel bad about some of the friends I lost. Oh, that's my hand. The reason I got expelled, I'm looking at it with fresh eyes. I remember, I'll remember now, yeah. There was an eighth grader, and me and Chris Oates went over to the hallway, which you had to know how to get there. And the boy gave us the marijuana, and and I went like that, whoa, whoa, and it like fell on the ground. And he picked it up real quick and put it back in his backpack. And then I looked over and there was a teacher standing right there. So you know what Mr. Teacher has to do? Ooh, I'm going to go and tell the principal. Marijuana. I mean, what is marijuana? If I found some good marijuana, I would be smoking it. But all the marijuana around here and CBD that I've tried, not good. In Virginia, it was good. I miss having as many friends as I used to have. Actually, I have as many friends as I had in high school now, but they're not like boys who can come over and spend the night and have fun, go camping and stuff. we all make different choices in life, and some of us prefer, calm, simple life. Other people, you know, they do their thing. Life goes on, and there's really no way to say, "Oh, I'm alive, so I'm better than you because you're alive." We're all alive. It worries me when people start thinking about who's better than them. Yeah, sometimes I think about this guy named Dale Lewis, and the whole grade that we were in had like bullied him, like all of us. And if I was him, he was eating lunch by himself and stuff. And hey, there's no reason not to be happy. There's always some reason to find to be happy. I didn't fare much better, honestly, but I had a bully. His name was Dakota Farmer, and I also got bullied by the seniors because, to me, like a freshman is something sweet and tender, but they think it's got to be mean to have fun. I don't know why I said any of that. Don't hold me to it. Or if you do, you can if you want to. I'm not telling nobody what to do. What? All right, I'm going to save that for a minute. Ready? On your mark, get set, go. Tomorrow is our grand day, Where shall we go? I have leave from 3 till 9. Wherever we can get to and come back from in that time. No ruins, Jude. I don't care for them. Well, Water Castle. And then we can do Funk Hill if we like it all in the same afternoon. Wador is Gothic ruins, and I hate Gothic. No, quite otherwise. It is a classical building, Corinthian, I think, with lots of pictures. Oh, that will do. I like the sound of Corinthian. We'll go. Their conversation had run thus a few weeks later, and next morning they prepared to start. Every detail of the outing was a facet reflecting a sparkle to Jude, and he did not venture to meditate on the life of inconsistency he was leading. His Sue's conduct was one lovely conundrum to him, and he could say no more. There duly came the charm of calling out college door for her. Her emergence in the nun-like simplicity of costume that was rather enforced than desired. The trapezing along to the station, the porter's "Do you leave?" And I just want to say I had a really, really cool father. Like, this guy was going to be famous. But Anyway, he was so cool. And I remember bringing my stepfather with my mom and my sister to Mama's house. And I wish I would have had it in my mind at the time. Like, I do not want to be a Mr. Potato Head because that's exactly what his stupid smile reminded me of. Nobody stared at Sue. The screaming of the trains, everything formed the basis of a beautiful crystallization. Nobody stared at Sue because she was so plainly dressed, which comforted Jude in the thought that the only himself knew the charms those habiliments subdued. A matter of £10 spent in a drapery shop, which had no connection with her real life or her real self, would have set all Melchester staring. The guard of the train thought they were lovers and put them into a compartment all by themselves. That's a good intention wasted, she said. Jude did not respond. He thought the remark unnecessarily cruel and partly untrue. They reached the park and castle and wandered through the picture galleries. Jude, stopping by preference in front of the devotional pictures by Del Sarto, Guido Reni, Spanglietto, Sassoferrato, Carlo Dolci, and others. Sue paused patiently beside him and stole critical looks into his face as regarding the virgins, holy families, and saints. It grew reverent and abstracted. When she had thoroughly estimated him at this, she would move on and wait for him before a Lilly or a Reynolds. It was evident that her cousin deeply interested her, as one might be interested in a man puzzling out his way along the labyrinth from which one had one's self escaped. When they came out of a long time still remained to them, and Jude proposed that as soon as they had had something to eat, they should walk across the high country in the north of their present position and then intercept the train of another railway leading back to Melchester, a station about 7 miles off. Sue, who had inclined for any adventure that would intensify the sense of her daily freedoms, readily agreed, and away they went, leaving the adjoining station behind them. It was indeed open country, wide and high. They talked and bounded on, Jude cutting from the little covert and a long walking stick for Sue as tall as herself. It was indeed open country, wide and high. They talked and bounded on, Jude cutting from a little covert a long walking stick for Sue as tall as herself, with a great crook which made her look like a shepherdess. About halfway on their journey, they crossed the main road running due east and west. The old road from London to Land's End. They paused and they looked up and down for a moment and remarked upon the desolation which had come over this once lively thoroughfare, while the wind dipped to earth and scooped straws and hay stems from the ground. They crossed the road and passed on, but during the next half mile, Sue seemed to grow tired, and Jude began to be distressed for her. They had walked a good distance altogether, and if they could not reach the other station, it would be rather awkward. For a long time, there was no cottage visible on the wide expanse of down and turnip land, but presently they came to a sheepfold, and next to the shepherd pitching hurdles. He told them that the only horse near his mother and his, pointing to a little dip ahead from which a faint blue smoke arose, and recommended them to go on and rest there. This they did, and entered the house, admitted by an old woman with a single tooth, to whom they were as civil as strangers can be when their only chance of rest and shelter lies in the favor of the householder. "A nice little cottage," said Jude. "That's what I live in. I have a cottage. This is a cottage." Oh, I don't know about the niceness. I shall have to thatch it soon, and where the thatches come from I can't tell, for straw do get that clear. To get that, dear. That'll that twill soon be cheaper to cover your house with chainy plates than thatch. They sat resting, and the shepherd came in. Don't ye mind he said. Don't ye mind I never heard anyone say that. Don't ye mind Don't ye mind with a depreciating wave of the hand. Bide here as long as ye will, but mid you be thinking of getting back to Melchester tonight by train? Because you'll never do it in this world, since you don't know the lie of the country. I don't mind going with you some of the ways, but even then the train mid be gone. They started up. You can bide here, overnight, can't you, mother? The place is welcome to you. 'Tis hard lying, rather, but Volk may do worse. He turned to Jude and asked privately, Be you a married couple? Hush, no, said Jude. Oh, I meant nothing badly. Not I. Well, then she can go into mother's room, and you and I can lie on the outer shimmer after they gone through, and I call you soon enough to catch the first train back. You've lost this one now. On consideration, they decided to close with this offer and drew up and shared with the shepherd and his mother the boiled bacon and greens for supper. I rather like this, said Sue while their entertainers were clearing away the dishes. Outside all the laws except gravitation and germination. Well, I'm going to find out on Monday if I can start back on my PhD. I've already finished 2 or 3 courses, and I want my dissertation to be about mental health. Indeed, I am not, Jude. I like reading and all that, but I crave to get back to the life of my infancy and its freedom. Do you remember it so well? You seem to me to have nothing unconventional at all about you. Oh, haven't I? You don't know what's inside me. What? The Ishmaelite. An urban miss is what you are. She looked severe disagreement and turned away. The shepherd aroused them the next morning, and he said, as he had said, it was bright and clear, and the 4 miles to the train were accomplished pleasantly. When they reached Melchester and walked to the close and the gables of the old building in which he was again to be immured rose before Sue's eyes. She looked a little scared. I expect I shall catch it, she murmured. They rang the great bell and waited. Oh, I brought something for you which I had nearly forgotten, she said quickly, searching for her pocket. It is a new little photograph of me. Would you like it? Would I? He took it gladly, and the porter came. There seemed to be an ominous glance on his face when he opened the gate. She passed in, looking back at Jude and waving her hand. The 70 young women of ages varying in the main from 19 to 1 and 20, though several were older, who at this date filled the species of nunnery known as the training school at Melchester, formed a very mixed community which included the daughters of mechanics, curates, surgeons, shopkeepers, farmers, dairymen, soldiers, sailors, and villagers. That's what I am. I'm a villager. I'm being honest. I'm a villager. They sat in the large schoolroom of the establishment on the evening previously described. A word was passed around that Sue Bridehead had not come in at closing time. She went out with her young man and a second-year student who knew about young men, and Miss Traceley saw her at the station with him. She'll have it hot when she does come. Well, I didn't make it all the way, but I'm going to come back and we'll finish later. I'm gonna go chill for a little bit, maybe drink a beer. Take a shower. All right.